I don't believe that every pain has a lesson. I don't necessarily believe everything happens for a reason. And even if it does, I don't think we'll even see that reason in this lifetime, or when we find out about the reason later, I'm not sure if it's going to necessarily satisfy us, because I don't think that's the point of pain. We live on an earth in which nothing is as it ought to be. As C.S. Lewis said, nothing is yet in its true form. In other words, the things that are happening on this earth, disease, planetary problems, whether it's earthquakes or fires or floods, decay, aging, none of those things were originally part of God's plan. And so when pain happens and you tell someone who is going through cancer, or they have a relative who just got in a car accident, when you say, oh, this is all a part of what God wants for you, I think that might be a slap in the face. I think that might be insulting to tell a person, hey, God is going to make this all come together for good. I do believe that God is in control. I believe He's sovereign. I believe He's writing our story. But when He sees us going through pain, when evil happens, when bad people get away with things, or good things happen to them, God is just as angry and upset as we are when those things happen. God is just as mad when bad things happen to us. And I think it shortchanges or it diminishes people who are hurting to tell them that God did this to you, or that somehow God allowed this for your good. I do think God can use those bad things for good. I think maybe there are reasons behind those things, but ultimately, God is a God who grieves with us. He shows solidarity with us. That's why He became one of us. I believe God is not necessarily God of the situation so much as He's going to change things, or He's going to orchestrate something for good, but He's a God in the situation. So I've become much less likely to tell somebody, hey, this is happening for a reason, this is happening for your good. For me to look at someone in the eyes who's truly suffering, they have a child who's going through something, they've lost someone, and for me to say that, I found more and more that not only is it hurtful to them, there's a point where it's just too soon, but I realize even in the long term, it doesn't work. It's not an answer. And so maybe I'm out on a limb on this one, maybe I'm alone in that, but I do believe we live in a world of suffering that is not as it ought to be, and that God offered healing through His Son, that God offers Himself most of all. And that's the most important thing we can have. And ultimately, in the end, eternally, that's what we're going to have. He's going to compensate for every wrong thing that ever happened to us. The fog that we live with, whether internally or things happening externally, God Himself will be the glory that will outshine all that we've ever gone through. And so the bigger question, why does evil happen? Why is there suffering? I know Christians are afraid to say, I don't know. But I think it's part of it's going to be a mystery. And the other part of it is going to be, we live in a world that is not as it ought to be, but God Himself is there, not as just compensation, but as one who is with us in the pain and loves us all the way through it.